Well, it's a very warm welcome and thank you for joining us on this independent off-tube studio commentary. The game at Turf Moor has just got underway and it's a very big game as well, as 19th place Burnley take on 15th place Brentford. And for Vincent Kompany's side, it's pretty much now or never. They are very much up against it in terms of the league position and the amount of points they need to make up. But if they're going to give themselves any kind of chance, win against Brentford this afternoon really would give them a shot in the arm. As for Thomas Frank's Brentford, they themselves struggling for form, and if they don't start picking up a few more points soon, they could get dragged very much into that bottom three picture as well. It's myself, Paul Szczerbakowicz, and Tom McGarry taking the action. Tom, both sides are quite good at conceding goals, so they should hopefully go for it, and we should hopefully see a few goals today.
Yeah, hopefully. It's an entertaining contest for the neutral. It might be pretty nervy out there, though, for the respective two sets of players. Burnley, as you say, really cut adrift along with Sheffield United in the bottom two, 10 points adrift of safety. They need a win. They've really got to go for it. Draws aren't good enough at this stage. But for Brentford, just 5 points above the relegation zone, but with their form trending in the wrong direction, and Luton against Nottingham Forest, two of the sides below them in the standings, playing against each other today. So at least one of those sides is potentially going to make up ground. So it's a huge game for Brentford, arguably bigger than it is for Burnley, because a lot of people have already wrote the Clarets off.
They certainly have. I mean, Brentford have just had the 2 wins in the year of 2024. Burnley yet to register a win in this calendar year. And Brentford now just trying to push forward here down the right-hand side. It's over with Mats Röst, left rolls the ball forward here. A bit of space for Frank Onyeka. His cross is charged down, and now a chance here for Burnley to try and go forward. It's a quick ball out from the back as well. Looks like it was an attempted pass there from Josh Cullen, which is charged down, but Brentford give it away here in midfield, and there's a quick ball play through the middle. There may be a free kick coming as well. I thought there was a bit of a late challenge on the halfway line, and our referee Dominic Bond feels exactly the same. Looks like Zanka Jorgensen there with at least a telling off, potentially maybe even a yellow card as well. It was late, but studs weren't really up though.
Yeah, it's a panicked lunge, isn't it, from Jorgensen? He gives the ball away cheaply in the middle of the park and quickly wants to atone for his error. There's no malice in the challenge. It's Wilson Odobert he takes out. But yeah, I don't think the referee's given a yellow card. Certainly this early in the game, that would have been very harsh. Had it been the hour mark, or certainly in the second half at some point, I think a yellow might have come.
Absolutely. It's borderline cynical, but as you said, I think he probably was just trying to get the ball, and it was just a little bit of a panic lunge. It was a long ball from Ari Muric, of course, the big changer for Burnley in their starting 11 today. That Muric gets the start ahead of Trafford. I mean, I think over the course of the season, Trafford's probably had more good games for Burnley than he's had bad, but it's just one of those where I think in the last few games, perhaps Vincent Kompany felt as though he was perhaps making a few too many mistakes.
He's going through a massive learning curve, isn't he, this season, James Trafford? Probably more than any Burnley player, and it's his first full season of Premier League football. And as you say, shot stopping, I think he's been really good, and he's saved Burnley on a number of occasions, but the physicality of the league, I think he's yet to learn that.
Yeah, he's had a few problems, but Burnley now with a bit of space here. It's moved over towards the left-hand side. A potential chance to get a cross in here. It's played back towards Sander Bjerg. That's good work, though, trying to play the ball out from the back there. It was Yoan Wissa back inside his own penalty area. Unable to keep the ball in midfield, though. Burnley now still in possession here with Josh Cullen. Square now towards Dara O'Shea. His centre-backs for Vincent Kompany. They do like to push forward, give themselves a few more options in midfield, but a bit more space now for Sander Bjerg, and he gets all the way to the edge of the penalty area, having to play this one back to Cullen. Cullen trying an early ball into the box. There's absolutely no marking there, and there's potentially a shove in the back there from Regulion as well. The referee is not interested in that. I'm sure VAR will be looking at it already as Burnley come again now. O'Shea's ball into the box. It's headed on, and eventually it's, well, I was going to say it was a cushion header back from Ayer. It wasn't that particularly cushion, but eventually goalkeeper Flecken can make the save. Now, what do we think here, Tom? Is there a potential penalty shout?
As Vitinho gets in behind goal side of Sergio Regulion, and yeah, looking at that, he's waiting for the contact, I think, Vitinho to a degree, but he's very clumsy from Regulion into the back of the Burnley winger, arms into the back, and there's a bit of a coming together of the legs as well. Looks like VAR, has the referee, no, the referee has now stopped proceedings, and he signalled he's going to look over at the monitor. Having seen the replay a couple of times now, I think this will be overturned and given as a penalty.
I think it will be. I think Brentford will point to the fact that they've had 2 much bigger pushes in the back in recent games that weren't given as penalties. Robertson into Tony, and then there was the incident at West Ham as well, where Regulion, I think, was the man brought down. But as you say, there's not going to be any surprises here. Once the referee goes to the monitor, then he is likely to change his mind. At the moment, the referee's just sat there watching a VAR logo on the screen. For some reason, the VAR replays are frozen. We're not actually able to see the replays either. Our sort of replay screen is frozen as well. But now the referee is hopefully going to get a chance to see. I think they're going to check first of all to see if there's a potential offside against Vitinho when this ball is played in. And I tell you what, that right shoulder still seems to me like it's level with Regulion, so I don't think there's going to be any issue there.
Yeah, we're seeing on our pictures the line for offside, and it does look quite tight. I still, when the cameras pan to Darren Bond, he doesn't look like he's actually seeing anything on his screen at the moment.
No,
so
well, I mean, as I say, with the amount of issues that we've had with VAR over the years, I suppose the next one would be that the picture just freezes entirely and they can't see a replay at all.
I can't believe it actually hasn't happened before, to be honest. But yeah, we're looking at Darren Bond again. He hasn't got any pictures, just the VAR logo on the screen. He's been over there, the best part of a minute now. It must feel like an eternity for him, and he's in communication, I'd imagine, still with the team at Stockley Park.
Well, that's right. Now the VAR officials are going to have to give him a radio commentary of what's happening until he can actually see a replay himself. Vincent Kompany just using this moment to try and gee his players up to still stay sharp on the field, because whatever happens, of course, you're not going to get play restarted fairly soon. It's goalless still, of course, in the other game between Luton and Nottingham Forest. Commentary of that game is also available on our service, and now we finally get confirmation that that there was no offside, so Vitinho was fine to go after this ball. And now the next question is, was he actually fouled for a penalty? And as I say, it's pretty clear cut. I can't believe it's taking this long.
Well, again, I don't think Darren Bond's seen these pictures. We're watching the replay now on our screen, but we've also got a small graphic in the top corner showing us the referee, who's watching nothing, just that VAR logo. So whether he is just getting taught through, now the pictures have come up on his screen, so that's a good 2 minutes after he initially went over there. But hopefully now the images are working properly. He can analyse this, and as you say, Paul, I think he's going to be pointing to the spot very soon.
He is. To say the sooner the better, really, in terms of how long it's actually taking. As I say, normally we blame the referees for taking too long at Stockley Park. We blame the main match official for taking too long to see the replay. Now it's not neither of their faults. It just seems to be that a technical issue. But considering that the foul happened after about 3 minutes, we're at 7.5 minutes on the clock now. Really is taking far too long. And again, it's that old chestnut of the idea of there being different decisions for different games. It is going to be a penalty. It's a shove in the back from Sergio Regulion. And as I say, it will be frustrating for Brentford, who've not been given penalties for very similar ones already this season. But this is the situation now, and Burnley have got a great chance.
Yeah, they have, and they've made a bright start in those 3 minutes. They were the side looking to get on the front foot. It was a really good ball in from Josh Cullen to find Vitinho, who made a decent run. Regulion, though, switched on. Oh, he's given a red card as well to the defender. He must have deemed it a deliberate foul in a goal-scoring situation, and Regulion can't believe it. I can't believe it. We weren't even thinking about that.
No, it never even crossed my mind that there was going to be a straight red card for this. I mean, of course, there are rules in terms of the last man stopping a goal-scoring opportunity. There are rules in terms of when a penalty is given, you don't necessarily always have to give the red card as well. But it seems to me like the referee has viewed this as being a deliberate goal-scoring opportunity stopped by Regulion.
Yeah, the double jeopardy comes into play if it's an honest attempt to play the ball. The referee hasn't deemed that an honest attempt, but I find that extremely harsh. It's as much a coming together as anything. It's clumsy from Regulion. The punishment doesn't fit the crime there for me. 85, 90 minutes of football still to play. Brentford down to 10 men, and Regulion out of the game.
Regulion out of the game, and it's going to be Josh Cullen with the responsibility here. In fact, no, it's going to be Brunn Laursen. I thought I saw a 24 on the back. It's actually a 34. It's going to be Jacob Brunn Laursen to take this penalty for Burnley. I can tell you now, we're going to get about 6 minutes of injury time already at the end of this half, even long before we've seen the rest of this half, just in terms of how long it's taken for this penalty to be set up. But it's going to be Brunn Laursen against Flekken. Laursen with a short step up, and although Flekken dives the right way, he can't make the save. It's into the back of the net, and it's the perfect start for Burnley. They're a goal up and a man up inside 10 minutes. Yeah,
huge credit to Jacob Brunn Laursen there. It's a really calm, composed penalty because, it's 5-6 minutes. He's had to wait thinking, will I, won't I take a penalty? But he sends that right-footed into the far corner, the right-hand side of Mark Flecken's goal. The goalkeeper guesses the right way, and he's not a million miles off stopping that, but such is the quality of the penalty from Brunn Laursen. He finds the back of the net. Burnley 1-0 up. They were 2-0 up against West Ham, of course, last weekend, and threw away that advantage. A long way to go in this game, but perfect start for Vincent Kompany's side.
It is. We're seeing another replay here of the incident. We've seen enough of the incident there, I think. I mean, you look at Regulion, and to me, it is a penalty. I have no issue with that, but I don't see it as a red card. And as I say, it's a point been made many times this season. But if this was a top 4 side, I don't think he would have seen a red card. But here come Burnley now, and they need to jump on this now. Brentford's on the ropes here, a man down and a goal down. Burnley straight away on the attack down the left-hand side. Sander Bieg in towards Charlie Taylor. He lifts a ball into the box, which gets a deflection, I think, before it finds Zanka Jorgensen inside the penalty area. Slightly askew header from him there, and it's out for a Burnley corner. Yeah,
I wonder how Brentford are going to line up now. They've got a hole down their left-hand side with the wing-back Regulion having been sent off. Thomas Frank is in conversation with his coaching team, but first and foremost, they've got this defender to deal with. They can't afford to concede again.
Well, no, they can't. And say Brentford have barely had any kind of possession at all, and now they find themselves a goal and a man down. It's a corner kick to Burnley on the left-hand side. It's taken short here. Brunn Laursen in towards Vitinho, and they play back towards the edge of the area. Cullen lifts this in towards the 6-yard box, and it's not a bad ball at all. In the end, Ivan Toney almost had to just shimmy out the way of that for him, to stop it deflecting off him, and out for another corner. And then it was a decent short corner. We see so many of these in the Premier League that don't end up with a cross into the box at all. That's probably just a little bit over here.
Yeah, it's not the worst ball in from Cullen. There's a couple of players in claret and blue at the far post who are a little bit caught on their heels, and I think Toney actually does well in the end for Brentford. How many times have we seen players at that far post, when they can leave it, swing a leg at it and slice it behind for another corner or worse? But he was aware of his surroundings, let the ball run, and took the goal kick.
He did. Throw on to Brentford then down the left-hand side. And say Vincent Kompany will be only too aware that his side were 2 up away at West Ham last week, only to draw 2-2. And you see what happened to Sheffield United, of course, against Bournemouth, and then Luton in that incredible game in midweek as well. But you just feel that Burnley at home with a man advantage, and Brentford aren't the best travelling side this season either. They're particularly jinxed in this light blue away kit that they're wearing this afternoon. They won themselves a free kick. It's a long way out from goal, but Matthias Jensen is standing over this one. He's going to try and send it towards the edge of the penalty area. Burnley set up around 5 or 6 yards outside their box with the offside. Brentford have sent the big players forward. They've got Collins and Ayer waiting at the edge of the area as well. It's Jensen's ball aimed at the edge of the box. It's headed up in the air, comes off Collins, and then it's a good strong header away there from Assignon. And I think in the meantime there was an offside in the build-up anyway.
Yeah, nothing comes of that set piece for Brentford, but that's probably where they're going to be looking to get a lot of joy, especially now they're down to 10 men. It's possibly one of the reasons why Vincent Kompany decided to change his goalkeeper today as well. We've already discussed James Trafford, not the biggest physically, not the most commanding at coming for crosses, which might be why Muric has been brought in, because you sense, Brentford, they've got those 3 big centre-backs, they've got Ivan Toney, there's players up there who can really hurt Burnley.
Well, there is, and I'm sure Brentford's initial plan was to get as much possession as they can, as many set pieces as they can, to put what they would have thought would have been Trafford under pressure. Now they've got Muric to contend with, but it's plan B for Brentford now. I think they'll just be happy to get any kind of attacking possession at all. But that said, Burnley have had a very difficult season, and you just feel that if Brentford could rally and get a little bit of midfield possession and put some pressure on Burnley, then there still would be cracks there.
Yeah, absolutely. Brentford aren't out of this game. The camera's just panned to Mads Roerslev there. Looks like he switched across to the left-hand side for Brentford. I wonder if Christopher Ayers played at right-back, hasn't he, a couple of times?
He has, yeah. It's not his ideal position. He's not really got the speed to be a wide defender, but having said that, needs must, and Roerslev has played as the emergency left-back before. They have also put Janelt in that position. I just wonder, with Roerslev in the centre, perhaps Janelt's now been switched over towards the left-hand side. We'll keep an eye on that one, but for the time being, Brentford have got themselves a throw. It's about 25 yards out. Jensen was shaping up to take it long. He just takes it short and then rolls it towards Roerslev, and then that's a terrible ball from Roerslev, just angled towards the edge of the box. But then Brentford get a freebie here, as Lawrence Assignon had nobody around him. He just picked the ball up on the right-hand side and then ran at a funny angle and ran the ball straight out for a throw. Yeah,
that was Sunday League level, really. First the Roerslev cross, and then Assignon under no pressure, miscontrolling him and presenting Brentford with an opportunity of another long throw, which Matthias Jensen has trotted across to take.
Again, he's not looking to take much of a run up here, Jensen. He has got Roerslev there, but with that last cross, I think Jensen might just tell his fellow countrymen to leave this one. And it looks like Brentford's number 8 is going to launch this one into the box, and he does. Gets a lot of height on this one. It's just over the head of Collins. It's still bouncing inside the penalty area. Janelt jumps for it, and eventually it looks like it was Cullen that got the telling touch. It's played back towards the edge of the box. It's with Collins. Plays it across to Aya. Aya's ball across the 6-yard box. That's good work, though, from Dara O'Shea. He just sort of slides across the ball, kills all the pace, and then Muric is able to make the save, and he bowls it out very quickly. And now Burnley are on the counter-attack. They've got players over here on the left-hand side. It's now with Brunn Laursen. His cross is just a little bit too far away from Fofana. Should still be kept in play by Vitinho on the right-hand side. He's got Assignon on the overlap. Vitinho just choosing to play it square. It's Cullen back towards O'Shea. Sander Bjerg now over towards the left-hand side. 3 players waiting in the box for Burnley. Taylor on the overlap. Lifts a ball in towards the edge of the 6-yard box, but it's Vitaly Janelt inside his own penalty area, getting the header away. And that's something that Brentford have to be wary of as well. They can try and put pressure on Burnley, but if they leave too many players further up the field, then Burnley are going to try and hit them on the counter.
They are, and it wasn't the best defending there from Brentford. Charlie Taylor just allowed to drift into the penalty area unmarked, and had he been able to cut the ball back a little bit more accurately, then it might have been a decent opportunity for Burnley.
It's another corner kick for Burnley from this left-hand side. And it looks like it's going to be swung directly in this time. Brunn Laursen just a little bit short in terms of the height. It was a good header away initially from Janelt. It's back over on the left-hand side. There's an overlap, but in actual fact, there is an offside as that ball was played to Wilson Odobert. I think that the pass back towards Brunn Laursen, actually, was already in an offside position. Sean Massey Ellis, our assistant official on this near side, just confirming that decision. But Brentford now with this free kick. 16 and a half minutes gone. Unofficial independent off-tube studio commentary. It is Burnley 1, Brentford 0. Burnley taking the lead after a penalty from Jacob Brunn Laursen on 10 minutes. Sergio Regulion was sent off for the foul that led to that penalty. It is still goalless between Luton and Nottingham Forest, and Fulham against Tottenham is the later game on our service in the Premier League this evening. If you're not aware as well, an incredible game in the FA Cup earlier today, where Wolves were a goal down to Coventry, managed to equalise and then take the lead at Molineux before Coventry scored twice in injury time to get themselves to Wembley. Now a foul on Frank Onyeka has given Brentford a free kick. It's around 35 yards out. It's way over on the right wing, but it does give Brentford a chance to try and get this ball into the box. You can see Thomas Frank in discussion with his coaching staff as well. Burnley once again with an offside just in front of the penalty area. Yoan Wissa just going a little bit too soon. Standing over this one. Pretty much takes all of Brentford's set pieces when he's on the field. It's his ball towards the... Ivan Toney got himself into a good position. He wasn't marked. I mean, it was a header from a long way out, but even so, Toney gets that one all wrong.
Yeah, I mean, you can look at this 2 ways. Burnley are holding such a high line that when the ball arrives at Ivan Toney, as you say, he's so far out, he's got a lot to do with his header. But also, no one in claret and blue follows Ivan Toney, who was not the only Brentford player goal side and was unmarked in the penalty area, basically. So, risky ploy that from Burnley, but on that occasion, at least, it was effective.
It was effective, and you've got to say that most teams now, I mean, I get quite frustrated seeing teams that don't mark anybody in the box, but it seems to be almost like an instruction, doesn't it? They are trying to do things zonally now, and it does work on occasions. It means you can catch more teams out offside, but it means that if you get it wrong, then it's just far too easy for an opposition player to get on the ball. There is a Brentford player down just inside the Bees half. It's Anke Jorgensen just down on one knee. Had a bit of a collision there with David Fofana. Just trying to read the sort of the gestures there Zanka's giving to the referee. Is he suggesting that he's fallen awkwardly on his shoulder issue, perhaps? Because he seemed to be sort of pointing to his shoulder. Now he's pointing to his knee as well. Yeah,
there's a bit of a nudge from Fofana, maybe a foul because he's not anywhere near the ball, but I couldn't quite see how Jorgensen had injured himself unless it was the way Fofana landed on him, or he maybe twisted his ankle slightly, but he's seemingly okay now.
He is, and it's a good ball down the right-hand side here from Christopher Ayer. He did a nice bit of skill there, actually, on the right-hand side, the Norwegian international. But it's passed down the right-hand side towards Frank Onyeka, was just a little bit overhit. It looked to me as though Onyeka might have been in an offside position anyway. Brentford are starting to get little glimmers up front, but still nothing really in the box.
Yeah, since the goal from the penalty spot from Brunn Laursen, and of course the sending off of Regulion at the same time, it's been a pretty even contest. You'd probably even say that Brentford have maybe been slightly shading it. They've certainly won more than their fair share of set pieces, and at the moment you can't really tell it's 11 against 10.
Well, no, you can't, but here come Burnley now. It was a good bit of control there from Assignon in midfield. He found Vitinho, then he switches play towards the left-hand side. Bjerg then finding Brunn Laursen, the goal scorer, just under a bit of pressure there from Ayer. Going back towards Sander Bjerg. There's options here for him. He goes towards Charlie Taylor, hugging that left-hand side. Bjerg now gets the ball back. He goes towards Cullen. Vitinho now and Assignon on the right-hand side. It's Assignon's ball into the box. It's a low cross which is hooked up in the air by Onyeka. Still, Brentford still with some work to do to try and get this ball away from their own penalty area. Assignon trying to turn away from Mads Rösler. That's not good defending from Rösler. I think he might have got a bit of a get out of jail free card there, the Brentford left back, because a free kick's been given against Assignon. I don't think he did anything wrong there at all.
No, we're going to watch replay now, but I'd hazard a guess it was a bit of 6 to 1, half a dozen of the other between the two players. Assignon's holding on a little bit. I'd say Rösler was as well. There's nothing in that. I think the fact that Rösler stopped probably influenced his assistant referee, wasn't it, on the near side, that alerted the referee to the foul, or perceived foul.
Yeah, absolutely. I think sometimes you wouldn't like to think it makes a difference, but sometimes just the players' reactions do sometimes sway what the referee or the assistant might think in real time. Brentford took a long free kick up towards the halfway line. It's come down here for Matthias Jensen. He plays it to Ivan Toney, who was pushed in the back. There will be a free kick to Brentford. Toney takes it a little bit too quickly, really. It's not a bad idea to take a quick free kick in midfield there, but the pass to Yoan Wissa was a hopeful one, really, and Burnley can clear their lines.
Yeah, you can see what he's trying to do. Vissa's made a decent run, but the Burnley defender who was tracking Yoan Wissa was actually the only Burnley player who was switched on to the situation, so was able to get across on the cover. It might have been Dara O'Shea, but yeah, idea is good from Toney, but again, to the importance of set pieces, maybe in hindsight it'd be better holding on to that and giving Brentford a more methodical opportunity from the set play.
Yeah, and then in the meantime, Brentford have just given the ball away here in midfield. It's gone out for a throw to Burnley down the left-hand side. Just a bit of miscommunication there between Zanke Jorgensen and Vitaly Janelt. Although no damage done for Brentford, just 2 passes after the throw from Burnley. The Bees win the ball back, and it's Jensen who can now play it back towards Mark Flecken. Clearance there from the Brentford keeper, who really has had no work to do apart from the penalty. Yeah,
and he was so close to saving that as well. There hasn't really been any meaningful efforts towards goal, certainly not on target, apart from the penalty. There's been some neat build-up play, crosses into the box, corners, free kicks, long throw-ins at both ends, but yeah, nothing really for either goalkeeper to do.
It's been a quiet afternoon for both keepers. Certainly Ari Muric has had a very quiet afternoon in the Burnley goal. Had to deal with, I think, 2 crosses coming into his box, and other than that, just been a little bit of a sweeping up in front of the penalty like he's done now. It's a good long clearance there from the goalkeeper, which does find Vitinho at the edge of the area. There was a little bit of a push from Vitinho on Nathan Collins, and the referee has spotted that. But there's got to be consistency. If we saw a penalty given for a bit of a push in the back, then we've got to see a free kick there again. I mean, Vitinho's never tried to play the ball there, has he?
No, he's had 2 long, hard looks at the back of Nathan Collins, and then, yeah, nudged the Brentford centre-back. Question wide there, because there's not even a 1% chance that he's going to get away with that. It was clear for all to see.
Yeah, it is. I think that he was just trying his luck, I suppose. He probably realised that he was little chance of him able to keep the ball anyway. But Brentford took the free kick long and given it away almost immediately here. And it's another shove in the back. This time it's Janelt on Vitinho, as Brentford were looking to try and keep a bit of possession in the Burnley. We are at 23 minutes. I'll hand over to Tom in just a few minutes, because I think we're going to see probably about 7 or 8 minutes of injury time at the end of the half. So we'll try and split that a little bit more evenly. But for the time being, it's Brentford in plenty of possession with nothing to show for it, really. And Burnley trying to pick them off and go on a quick counter. They've been able to do just that as Odobert finds Fofana. Fofana just wanted a bit too much time on the ball. It's a good challenge from Christopher Ayer. Really, Fofana should have been able to get away from him, and now there's a foul on Frank Onyeka in midfield, and Brentford have an opportunity to try and restart play.
Yeah, Burnley just struggling to get David Datro Fofana involved. I've really liked him since he's come into the team, joining on loan from Chelsea in January. He scored a thunderbolt of a goal against West Ham last weekend, a goal of the month contender at the very least. And yeah, I think he's added a bit more dynamism in the final third to Burnley. But yeah, there's a terrible back pass there. Might be a chance.
Might be in the back of the net.
It's cleared by Muric. Comes out to Toney, who might get a strike away. He does, and it's saved somehow by Muric. But that was a back pass by a Burnley defender. Muric was out on his left-hand side of the 6-yard box. The defender didn't get their head up. It was O'Shea playing it back, played it blind, and Muric had to sprint across to clear off his own goal line.
Unbelievable. I mean, it's just So close. I mean, goal line technology hasn't said anything, so the ball hasn't crossed the line. That first replay we've seen confirms to us that the whole of the ball didn't cross the line, but I tell you what, part of it already had. It was so close. Muric just stood on the left-hand side of his 6-yard box, and Dara O'Shea just blindly plays the ball back to the right-hand side of his 6-yard box, and Muric, I mean, he's ended up in the back of the net, and the ball very nearly did as well. And at the end of it, Burnley have only conceded a corner. It's the least punishment for a real cavalcade of errors there, but it's going to be an outswinging corner from Matthias Jensen. It outswings way too much. It's all the way outside the penalty area now on the left-hand side, kept alive here by Janelt, but then his pass has to go back towards Flekken, who's on the halfway line, so not much use for that set piece from Brentford. Flekken then trying a long ball towards the edge of the box. It's headed on by Christopher Ajer. Won't reach Ivan Toney though, and this allows Cullen to clear the ball back into midfield, but Brentford still have it as Jensen tried to play that into Janelt. It's been won back here by Odeberg, and Fofana now on the halfway line doing well to turn away from Mads Røslev, and Burnley can breathe again. Yeah,
and just thinking, I mean, that was the kind of potential own goal there for O'Shea that we would have featured on the old videos and DVDs, the gaffes that you got at Christmas time. It was
you're too young to remember those, aren't you?
Well, just about the DVD versions rather than the videos. But yeah, it was a huge error. I'm not sure why Muric was out on the left-hand side of his 6-yard box anyway, but O'Shea had to get his head up and realise that.
I mean, as I say, Muric was probably way over to that side too much, but then he would say, well, I wasn't expecting O'Shea to give me shooting practice in the way that he did there. So it was good work in the end from the goalkeeper to recover, although, as I say, it would have been down to O'Shea had that found the net. But just shows that there is some nerves in this Burnley team, and it certainly would have been all eyes on Vincent Kompany when he deliberately changes his keeper for the first time in a league game this season for that sort of goal to be conceded. But for the time being, danger averted. Burnley just briefly were in possession on the left-hand side, but Cullen is robbed of it by Ajer. It's played back towards Mark Flekken, and that's a slightly off clearance there from Flekken. His arm up in the air to apologise. The best ball out from the Brentford keeper. We're over to the 27-minute mark. It is Burnley 1, Brentford 0, and it will be Tom to take us through to half-time.
Yeah, thank you very much. And I suppose with that Muric clearance off the line, that we have seen one of the goalkeepers make a save now of some sort in this contest, because the only real shot on goal of note has been the penalty from Jacob Brunn Laursen that has put Burnley in the lead. Brentford also had Sergio Regulion sent off in the same incident, but decent enough response from Brentford in terms of they're seeing plenty of the ball, and they have it now with a throw-in on the right-hand side. I think it might be a little too deep for Matthias Jensen to consider hurling this into the penalty box, but there are a group of Brentford players gathering on the edge of the penalty area. It's gone short though from Jensen and will be lifted towards the far post by Vitaly Janelt, nodded down by Christopher Ajer, but Burnley have enough bodies back to clear the initial danger. Jensen will help it back into the box. It's a bit of an up and under. Wissa does well to bring it under control. Looks to tee up Jorgensen, who plays a blind ball out to the left-hand side. Ajer will gather. Now it's with Frank Onyeka driving into the penalty area. Loses out with 4 bodies in claret and blue around him, and then has he conceded a free kick on Assignon? Yes, he has, says the referee, so it'll be a free kick to Burnley just inside their own penalty area. As we look at that replay of that almost calamitous own goal for Burnley, again we're getting the goal line technology involved. There's a quarter of the ball, maybe even a third of the ball over the line.
Yes, there is, and then the follow-up effort from Ivan Toney. We're seeing a replay of that as well. He actually nutmegs a Burnley defender at the edge of the 6-yard box, and although it wasn't a particularly powerful shot, that seemed to sort of surprise Muric. He only just deflected off his knee before it went out for a corner. So as I say, Burnley just about avoided the danger there. But as we said, Brentford now are seeing more of the ball, but still, barring that mistake, which nearly went in the back of the net, they haven't really been able to create a decent chance.
The other 3 o'clock kickoff in the Premier League today is still 0-0 between Luton and Nottingham Forest, a match that has big bearings on this game as well. Certainly Brentford and Burnley will both be interested in what's happening at Kenilworth Road, as Mads Røslev has the ball for Brentford, playing left back now, of course, following the sending off of Regulion. Gives it to Jensen, who returns it to his fellow Dane. Midfield it goes to Nathan Collins, of course, a former Burnley player, relegated with Burnley a couple of seasons ago, then joined Wolves and since moved on to Brentford, as being press backwards all the way to their goalkeeper Flecken. Move it nicely though, Brentford up towards Vitaly Janelt, who can now carry towards the halfway line with the support of Ivan Toney, who clips a delicate ball over the top. And in fact, it was a ball over the top towards Yoan Wissa, who skipped off the surface there and went away from the Brentford forward. Burnley will now look to come the other way, but there's no great urgency from Burnley. They've got the goal advantage. I mean, wins, draws even have been few and far between for the Clarets this season, but you can see they're not really wanting to go too gung-ho in search of a second goal.
No, they're not, and it's that, I suppose it's that difficult balance. On the one hand, that they have got a lead and they have got a man advantage, so why sort of rock the boat too much? But then they could have this game done and dusted by half-time and really try to take the pressure off. And it's just maybe a sign of the lack of confidence in Burnley that they can't really go and do that. Yeah,
after they were 2-0 up at half-time against West Ham last week and ended up drawing 2-2, and they've seen what's happened to, as you mentioned earlier, Sheffield United and Luton as well over recent days. You can understand a bit of nervousness as Taylor plays the ball forward to Fofana, who may well have been offside. The flag hasn't gone up. Taylor now will work it into Josh Cullen, who had a big hand to play in the winning of the penalty. Across now to Dara O'Shea. In turn, happy to just drop it into the feet of Maxime Esteve. Taylor, bring the ball towards the edge of the Brentford penalty area, feeds it infield. The cross comes in from Brunn Laursen. It's a little bit too close though to Mark Flecken, who gathers at the second attack. In fact, it was Sander Berge who tried to flash it across the 6-yard box, and yeah, it was too close to the Brentford goalkeeper.
It was too close, but I think the worry for Brentford will be that Burnley haven't really done anything special there. They've just kept the ball and just slowly edged forward until they suddenly had 3 or 4 players at the edge of the penalty area and options to try and play it across, and that's not too far away from actually finding Fofana.
Yeah, it's a couple of times that a Burnley player has been able to ghost into the right-hand side of the Brentford penalty box unmarked and cut a ball back into a dangerous area, and that'll be a slight concern for Thomas Frank, as Muric for Burnley sent a long up and under forward, which had Wilson Odobert briefly interested, but the bouncing ball will carry through to Mark Flecken in the Brentford goal. Nearly 32 minutes played in this game. We're bringing you unofficial independent off-tube studio commentary of this Premier League clash. It's Burnley 1, Brentford 0. Brentford down to 10 men as well, as Flecken works the ball out to the right-hand side, where Jorgensen will send it straight back to his goalkeeper. Potentially now Flecken might look to go long.
Yeah, we just saw a stat there as well. Both teams with 2 shots on goal, 1 on target each, so they're not spoiling us after 32 minutes, are they?
No, it's, I mean, we speculated it could be an open contest given the defensive records of these two sides, but you have to remember it's 2 struggling teams at the wrong end of the division
2
as well.
struggling teams, and now one of them is up in a game where they probably expected things to be a little bit tougher at the start, and obviously the opposition are now down to 10 men, so that obviously changes the dynamic of the game somewhat. But Burnley still insisting on playing out from the back and actually doing it quite well there. Brentford had a couple of players pressing, but now it opens up here on the right for Vitinho.
Yeah, Vitinho driving forward, and he's got plenty of players forward in claret and blue in support. Finds one of them in Sander Berge. Now it's out to Brunn Laursen on the left-hand side. He tries to step in field, can't work a shooting angle, but he squirms it back towards Berge. Now out to the right-hand side, Assignon. Vitinho tries to fizz it into the 6-yard box. It breaks to Jacob Brunn Laursen, who gets a shot away. It's blocked just about its source by Christopher Ayer and tidied up then from a Brentford point of view. Nearly moments there for Burnley. They certainly committed a few more bodies forward on that latest attack, but they couldn't get the ball towards Mark Flecken's goal.
Yes, actually a very important dive in there from Christopher Ayer. His challenge there just stops that shot from Brunn Laursen, where he really did take a swipe at it, although it was with his weaker left foot. He's only about 8 or 9 yards out there, so if he really puts his foot through that, you'd back him to test Mark Flecken. So that was certainly good from Ayer to stop that. But Brentford, they only had the ball very briefly in midfield, and Burnley have it straight back.
Yeah, Cullen has worked out to Brunn Laursen on the left-hand side. He's got plenty of time to switch it from left to right, where Lorenz Assignon has hold of the ball. He'll feed it infield to Sander Berge, and Burnley settling into a period of possession again. Berge will switch it out to the outball that is Brunn Laursen on the left-hand flank. As Paul mentioned, he's a naturally right-footed player, so looking to drift in whenever he can. And as I can tell you, there's been a big goal scored at Kenilworth Road in the days of a 3 o'clock kickoff in the Premier League. It's Luton 0, Nottingham Forest 1. A scoreline that probably helps Brentford more than it helps Burnley in our game. Chris Wood is the man who's got the goal for Forest on 34 minutes. So Luton 0, Nottingham Forest won in that game. It's Burnley 1, Brentford 0 in our game, as Muric, the Burnley goalkeeper, sends a long ball forward looking for Vitinho, but the offside flag is raised against him.
You're absolutely right, Tom. It is if scores stay as they are, then Forest will leapfrog ahead of Brentford in the table. But what it does, of course, is it means that Luton are further behind Brentford, and they can't make up the difference on the B. So, in that sense, I think Brentford will be very pleased to hear that Forest have got the lead. Of course, Forest aren't out of the woods yet in terms of the issues that they might have with financial fair play, profit and sustainability. We know that Everton have got another charge to answer as well, so there's still some fun and games to be had with that, but that's a really big goal there for Chris Wood, and certainly more problems for Luton.
Brentford have got a free kick 10 yards or so inside their own half, but Mark Flecken, the goalkeeper, is taking it and he's launching it towards the edge of the Burnley box. It's nodded down by Nathan Collins and not completely cleared from a Burnley point of view, but then a rather wasteful, I'm not sure exactly what that was, from Frank Onyeka, but it's gone behind for a goal kick.
No, if we had mics on Frank Onyeka, I don't think he could tell us what he was trying to do with that. It looked to me like he was trying to sort of scoop it to pick out a teammate on the left-hand side, but there was nobody on the left-hand side, and he overhit it so much that it just sailed out for a goal kick.
Muric hasn't taken the best goal kick for Burnley, but the ball has ricocheted up towards Fofana, and it might work out now for the home side. Assignon carrying over the halfway line with a bit of purpose, although he's stopped in his tracks momentarily by Jensen. Assignon is able to shift it out to Vitinho. Good skill from him to get away from Jensen. He then goes down wanting a free kick that wasn't forthcoming, but he has enough time to still regather possession. O'Shea now to Assignon. Can he deliver a cross into the box? He's got two Brentford players around him. Has to go backwards towards Cullen. Now Berg. Work it out, and Burnley will chance their arm on the left-hand side with Brunn Laursen. Taylor involved as well. It's patient build at play from the Clarets. Brunn Laursen can't quite return it to Charlie Taylor, and then Onyeka clears against the Burnley goal scorer, and it goes out to play for a Brentford throw. Yeah,
so it's just starting to look a little bit more steady here from Burnley in terms of their possession. Although, that said, they're still not really able to create a clear-cut chance other than that effort from Brunn Laursen, which was charged down. But they're certainly seeing that little bit more fluidity in their possession, whereas Brentford are just sort of trying they're hoping to try and make it stick up front, but it hasn't really worked out for them yet.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a struggle for Brentford to certainly get Ivan Toney and Yoan Wissa involved from open play. No sense that Thomas Frank has looked to change up his formation in the final third and maybe drop one of those two players deeper, and certainly hasn't sacrificed anyone in terms of changing his personnel following that early red card for Sergio Regulion, who's probably showered, changed and sitting behind the bench now. It's been that long ago since he was sent off. It was 3 minutes when he committed the foul, and by the time the VAR finally got working and made this decision, he was probably sent off in about 7 or 8 minutes.
Yeah, it was about 7 or 8 when he finally saw the red, and then I think it was 9 or 10 when the penalty was finally scored by Jacob Brunn Laursen. It's frustrating for Regulion because, of course, he started the season at Manchester United and sort of fell out of favour there, and he arrived at Brentford and I thought he was going to be obviously a nailed-on first 11 pick to try and plug the gap from Rico Henry's injury, and this will be frustrating now for Brentford that he's going to be suspended.
Yeah, they've had problems at left back with Henry's injury. Aaron Hickey's been out for a long while as well, and now Regulion will be no doubt facing a suspension as Burnley look to come forward down the right-hand side where Regulion would have been. It's Vitinho, and he fouled in the penalty area to concede the penalty. He was looking to do some good work down the right. His cross is deflected into the air, and the last touches are judged to have come off Maxime Esteve there and gone behind for a Brentford goal kick.
Yeah, and taken quickly as well here by Flecken, trying to get something going. I mean, Toney and Wissa really have been starved of service for most of this first half, and that ball gets away from them. Burnley back in possession. Yeah,
Sander Berg trying to break forward now down the right-hand side. Across on the cover is Janelt. It's now on Onyeka for Brentford, into Janelt again, who first time round the corner, looking to find Yoan Wissa. Intercepted by O'Shea. Fofana, was he fouled there? Referee says play on. The ball ricochets to Zanke Jorgensen for Brentford, and now to break down the right-hand side, the Bees with industrious Matthias Jensen. Held up, but retains possession. Feeds it into Janelt. Janelt back to Jorgensen. Across to the left-hand side with Mads Røslev. 6 minutes of the opening 45 left to play. Burnley 1, Brentford 0. As we've mentioned, there will be a lengthy amount of stoppage time to play at the end of this first half on top of the remaining minutes, as Esteve works the ball out to the left-hand side with Charlie Taylor for Burnley. Infield he goes to Josh Cullen, who's keeping Josh Brownhill out the side at the moment. It's worked backwards now to Esteve, who then sends a very aimless ball forward that will run harmlessly through to Mark Flecken in the Brentford goal, and Vincent Kompany not happy with his central defender there for wasting possession so easily. Flecken will look to lift the right-footed ball up towards Ivan Toney, who's beaten in the air by Assignon. Ball will ricochet out of the head of Vitaly Janelt, and it will be a Burnley throw-in. 5 minutes of the opening 45 left to play, and yeah, it's just got a little bit flat, Paul. It
has a little bit, yeah. I'm a little bit. I still think that Burnley will feel as though that they're potentially missing a trick here, because that Brentford can be got at. The few times that Burnley have had some attacking possession, they've got the ball to the edge of there, perhaps lacking that final pass to Odobert or to Fofana. But they have had enough to give themselves an opportunity to double their lead before half-time. And I just think that Brentford are going to try and come out with some sort of renewed impetus in the second half. They have to, because, of course, even though they're a man down, they've got to try and do something in this game against a Burnley side that have been proven time and time again they can be got at. But Brentford's away form this season has been pretty bad.
Yeah, Brentford have lost 9 of the last 10 games in all competitions away from home, and in all 9 of those defeats they've conceded plenty of goals. So yeah, Burnley can get at the 10-man bees, but as Paul mentioned, Brentford can also hurt a Burnley side that have leaked plenty of goals themselves. Only Sheffield United have conceded more in the Premier League this season. But at the moment, neither side is particularly looking like adding to the scoreline, as the ball is back with Mark Flecken near his own penalty area. He's close to the halfway line at the moment and not really being closed down by a Burnley player. He eventually sends it long up towards Toney, whose control is exquisite. Sends it back towards Jensen. He's twisting, turning, tries to release Toney in behind, but credit to Vitinho. He stuck to his guns, recognised the danger, and diverts the ball out of play for a potential throw-in opportunity to Brentford, which Jensen doesn't take long. He goes short, and it's then given away rather cheaply by Nathan Collins, and Burnley might be able to break forward down the left-hand side. Opportunity for Odobert to work it into Brunn Laursen, back to Wilson Odobert, who's been a bit on the periphery of the game so far. Cullen, Assignon, out to Vitinho on the right-hand side. He's been predominantly involved, finds Assignon on the overlap. Can Assignon get across? So he's got away from Jensen far too easily. Assignon into the 6-yard box, and an open goal. David Datro Fofana has somehow sent the ball miles wide of the target. What a glaring opportunity that was for Burnley to double their lead.
It should be 2-0. It's as simple as that. It should be 2-0 to Burnley, and Vincent Kompany has sat down in a bit of a huff on the in the dugout, and I'm not surprised. It should be 2-0. It starts off with Vitinho down the right-hand side. He rolls this forward to Assignon. I mean, he goes past Jensen like Jensen's never tackled anyone before, and then the ball just seems to surprise Fofana when all he's got to do is stab it into the back of the net. He sort of clips it with the laces, I think, and he just gets it all wrong and misses from 3 yards. Unbelievable let-off for Brentford. Unbelievable miss from Burnley's point of view. And whilst we were doing all of that, Tom, we've had a goal and a VAR correction at Kenilworth Road.
Yeah, the goal that Luton scored, Teden Mengi had the ball in the back of the net to make it 1-1. That has now been disallowed for handball. So it's still Luton 0, Nottingham Forest 1. So drama in both the 3 o'clock kickoffs in the Premier League. If anyone was watching the Coventry Wolves FA Cup game a little bit earlier on and saw a miss in the first half from the Coventry striker Ellis Sims, then that miss from Fofana is on a par with that, potentially even worse in truth, just to try and give a bit of context about what a golden opportunity that was.
In fairness, though, Sims made up for that with the end of the game, didn't he? He was very much involved in the Coventry's equaliser and their winner as well. But yeah, that was bad from Fofana, and he almost had that sort of embarrassed smile on his face, like he couldn't believe that he'd missed that. But to say Vincent Kompany, he looked furious because he knew that was a chance for his side to be 2 up with just a couple of minutes of regulation play in the first half.
Yeah, it could come back to haunt Burnley, although at the moment they are leading by a goal to nil, so the damage is only minimal. As the ball played forward there by Flecken for Brentford. Huge let-off for them, although Assignon looking to come forward down the right-hand side once more. That's a dangerous ball into the box, headed clear by Jorgensen. Onyeka will help it further on its way, but Burnley will look to try and get going again, although they've lost possession. And now Tony with a flick around the corner trying to release Jensen. Really important challenge from Dara O'Shea as possession turns over once more. It's fed in by Assignon into the feet of Wilson Odobert, who tries a speculative effort from outside the penalty area. Why not in a lot of ways? Burnley probably haven't had enough shots towards goal in this first half, and it wasn't the worst strike.
It wasn't the worst. I mean, considering that Fofana's certainly been more involved with the two front men than Odobert in these first 45 minutes. Doesn't surprise me that Odobert wanted to have a bit of an effort from goal just to test his range. And as I say, I mean, that miss from Fofana, I still can't quite work out what he's trying to. I mean, has he just sort of misjudged the pace of the ball? Because really, he's just got to stick a leg out. It seems so basic, but that's all he's got to do there, and he's almost overcomplicated it.
Yeah, he goes with his right. Maybe it would have been better letting the ball go across his body onto his left, but really, any contact there should have seen the ball find the back of the net as we enter 5 minutes of stoppage time at the end of this first half, which is probably the bare minimum, really.
I think we've been shortchanged there. I think we lost about 5 minutes just for the VAR check on its own. But Burnley on the attack now with a strike from Cullen, which is charged down at the edge of the area. Assignon's able to recycle. There's just a little bit more urgency about Burnley now in these last few minutes.
Yeah, they've been building up a head of steam over the past 5 minutes or so, probably, and they're looking to end this first half strongly and maybe get a second goal, which would give them some real breathing space. Cross from Taylor on the left-hand side. It's allowed to bounce by Roerslev, and Vitinho will pick it up now on the right for Burnley. It's in field, gives it to O'Shea, out to Assignon, who's starting to get more and more involved, tries to take on Roerslev, who stood his ground, and then a rather needless concession of a free kick there from Lorenz Assignon just alleviates all the pressure on Brentford.
It does, and Assignon just trotting back to his right back position. Vincent Kompany on his feet there, trying to get some further instructions out to his players. But he would have felt as though this game should have been done and dusted by now. Burnley have had enough possession and enough chances to at least be 2 goals up. And Thomas Frank, he knows that he's got to try and come up with a proper plan B here for Brentford in the second half, because although they are a man down doesn't mean you stop playing. Brentford haven't really been able to sort of put their marker down in terms of any kind of sort of solid midfield possession, and it's shown by the fact they haven't created many chances. Yeah,
it's been a real struggle for Brentford in this first half. Flecken there with a poor ball out to the left-hand side, and Roerslev rather casually kept it in, but has volleyed it back into a rather dangerous area. Brentford have been able to get hold of the ball, though. It'll be worked back with Nathan Collins. Steps away from Fofana confidently. The ball right-footed into the feet of Ivan Toney, who goes down and grabs the ball, making the referee's decision for him, and releases an early free kick and got Yoan Wissa in behind. This is a chance for Brentford. Wissa one-on-one with Muric, who makes a brilliant save to his left-hand side. That's the chance that Brentford have been waiting for all half. Wissa wasn't able to take it.
He wasn't, but you've got to credit Muric. It's a good save, and also considering that early free kick that Ivan Toney took earlier, which was given away almost immediately, that was a lot more effective. It was precise, it was played into Wissa, and we've had long enough now for the linesman to confirm if Wissa was offside or not. He wasn't, so the goal would have stood, but here come Burnley again.
Yeah, Assignon bringing the ball forward, clips a right-footed ball into the box, headed away at full stretch by Collins. Janelt then trying to help it further clear, but Burnley will gather possession. It's with Brunn Laursen down the left-hand side, the scorer of the only goal in this match so far. Pulls it back for Taylor, who returns it to Brunn Laursen. Low ball, clever cutback. Odobert shot away, blocked by Collins. It might ricochet to Vitinho. It's cleared by Jensen instead. 2 minutes of stoppage time remaining at the end of this first half, and now we don't want half-time. All of a sudden, this game's come to life.
It has come to life, yeah, although we're just going to have a bit of a break in play as Mats Roerslev is down inside the Brentford penalty area, holding his right ankle. But this will give us an opportunity to have a bit more time to look at this effort for Brentford. It was a free kick on the half line. Toney shoved in the back. Referee says free kick. Wissa is absolutely onside when that ball is played to him. Just trying to think, could he have done anything differently? I mean, the first touch takes him just slightly over to the left. Maybe that means he's got to try and curl it a bit more so it gives the keeper more of a chance. But take nothing away from Muric. He puts good, strong hands out to push the ball away.
Yeah, it's a good save. And I think Maxime Esteve was putting enough pressure on from behind on Yoan Wissa that he had to take it quite quickly. The only thing I would say is, I think the whole stadium knew exactly where he was going to try and put that finish. Yes,
I mean, he's a right footer cutting in from the left-hand side, so there was no chance for a deception there. But say maybe if the defender wasn't as quick coming back, he could have tried to a dummy and roll it away from the keeper. But that's all ifs and buts. The point is, it was a good chance for Brentford that Muric has saved, and Roerslev, for the time being, looks okay to play on.
Yeah, back on his feet, and looks like he should be able to run that one off. We're so close to half-time that Sure, get chucked over Mads Røslev at the break, but I'd be very surprised if he didn't return for the second half. We're into the final 40 seconds of stoppage time. The ball lifted over the top. There might be a chance for Brunn Laursen. Can he get his second of the game? Into the penalty area, twisting onto his left foot, strike towards goal. Saved well down to his right-hand side by Mark Flekken. It comes to Taylor on the Burnley left. Back to Brunn Laursen. Corner of the box now. Still twisting, still turning. Trying to find an opening. Cullen, back to Brunn Laursen. Brunn Laursen will have to go back out to Taylor, who will pull it back to Sander Berg. Can Burnley find a way through this Brentford defence? Lifted in by Taylor, too close to Flekken. Was able to gather under no real pressure.
No pressure there at all. It was easy from Flekken, but this earlier chance just a moment before from Brunn Laursen, that wasn't so easy for Flekken. Onto his left foot, just shows that he's got confidence to go for it with his weaker foot as well. And it was a decent strike. Yeah,
it's a decent piece of goalkeeping. As Flecken's giving the ball away for Fofana. Keeper gets back and somehow puts a challenge in. We were watching the replay of the Brunn Laursen chance. We've already seen a calamitous piece of defending at the other end in this first half. What was Mark Flekken doing there?
Well, you mentioned the old football blooper videos from back in the day. This is a classic one where I think it was Shay Given just put the ball down and then Dion Dublin just rolled the ball away from him. That was almost a carbon copy. Fofana essentially just stood behind the goalkeeper. Flekken then puts the ball down and Fofana nicks it off him.
Yeah, we've had a full catalogue of the old school gaffes, if you like, in this first half. Both those errors from a defensive point of view at either end of the pitch haven't been fully punished, although Brentford still have some defending to do from a Burnley corner, which will
certainly
probably
do. I mean, whether in another dimension somewhere, whether it's Johnny Vaughan or Danny Baker, will be going absolutely crazy with that one, won't they? When they with that particular effort from Flekken, but it is a corner kick. Referee just getting a little bit of order after that, pushing and shoving.
Yeah, corner whipped towards the far post, nodded down and away, and the referee does blow his half-time whistle. So it's advantage Burnley, both in terms of the scoreline and numerically at the break. Jacob Brunn Laursen's penalty putting the Clarets 1-0 up. Sergio Regulion was sent off in the same incident for Brentford at half-time. It's Burnley 1, Brentford 0.